Hey, good morning, Misfits. It is June 8th, 9th, episode 474. I hope everybody's doing well. That's 474. Still surprises me. Um, I'm going to ask Rhonda to give us another blessing this morning. I just want to say good morning to everybody and wait for a few more people to show up. And I appreciate everybody. I hope that your Tuesday is starting off better than you ever imagined. And I bet it could get even a little bit better. Send out your messages of gratitude, of joy, of peace. I got to tell you, that makes a huge difference for me, sending them out. And it's funny, I've made some connections to people who are reaching out to me and going, you've been sending me these for a long time. What can I do for you? It's interesting how the law of reciprocity starts to bring things to light, and yeah, it's pretty amazing what's happening. So, with that being said, appreciate everyone being here. Rhonda, if you'd like to give us a little
Sure.
getting started blessing, that would be awesome.
I would love to. Let me pray. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you again for letting us see light and joy and peace and love. Thank you for being with us in these times and in all times. Condition our hearts to hear from you and to hear from each other and to spread joy and love as far as we possibly can today. Thank you for the unity you create here and that you create in us so we can spread that to one another. Father, I lift up every nation, every country, every home that's represented here and that's across this globe. I ask for your peace to settle on. I thank you for the supernatural blessings and peace, no matter the times, no matter the trials and the tribulations. I thank you that your light still shines and runs darkness away. I thank you that we have you. I thank you for the words of truth that you speak over us. Help us to be life speakers over every person and over ourselves. Help us to have your flowing life speak from our mouths over every person. Bless us, Lord. Continue to bless us. Thank you for your blessings. And let us speak those blessings out from us over to our families and every person we come in contact with. Let every post, every smile, every eye contact, every type of contact we have today, let it be covered in your grace and in your mercy. And let your love and your joy shine through that and touch the heart of the other person that sees this. Thank you, Lord, for Sean. Thank you for continuing to bless him with the words that you have for us and the words that you have to touch his heart too. And help us to be able to speak life-giving words over him and his family as he speaks them over us. We just give you all the glory and all the honor in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rhonda. And go ahead, folks, send out your 3 messages of joy, of gratitude. And when you've got those sent out, drop a little D in the chat. If you're new to this call, if this is your one of your first times on the call, drop an N in the chat and let us welcome you and say howdy do from Texas. But appreciate you being here. So Joseph Campbell said, if we're all on a journey, where are we arriving? Are we arriving all in the same place? Where are we journeying to? And we're all on the road. Where are we arriving? Where are we looking to get to? Right. I was looking at my notes yesterday, rereading some of the notes, and I come across some of Les Brown's notes from a couple of weeks ago on Kyle's mastermind. I'm going to live a life that will outlive me. I'm here to disrupt your belief in your what? I'm here to disrupt your belief in your success. The success you have right now, we're all looking to change it. We're all looking to challenge it. We're all looking to grow. What are you doing to rob the grave of taking your talents? Right? We always say a lot of people die with their music still inside of them. A lot of people, there's a lot of great ideas. Some of the greatest resources in the world are found in a graveyard, but we'll never see them. Don't let my talents take me where my character can't keep me. This is that. Anyone know what that phrase is for kids? That parents would say to kids, they're too big for their britches. Don't let my talents take me where my character can't keep me. A caterpillar can't ever run fast enough to fly. There's some change that's happening. We all know that. We see that. Can't sit here with your eyes covered and say there's not change that's needed. There's not change that's happening. Can't say that I don't want change. It's all around us. Dr. Ona Brown, Les's daughter, says gaps are from God. Those moments where we sit down quietly and have to figure out what is going on. Those are moments from God. Where are you looking to get to? What is it that your desire is awakening inside of you? What does today bring for you? Does today bring for you more of doing, more of fighting with your own awareness, your own greatness? Do you become free? What do you let go today? What sits in your what sits in your mind today that your heart won't have? What sits in your heart that can't get out? I was reading something, I'm not sure where this came from. Had to be in the same thing. Why do people fail 90% of the time? Why do we fall short of our happiness and our joy 90% of the time? Is it because of an old story? Is it because we don't believe we're good enough? Have we lost our own ability to see joy? What would it feel like to be in joy today? Where do you deserve to have your joy? And how long do you deserve to have it? When you sit down across from a prospect today, how are you different? We're in a business. Let's be clear. We're in a business. We need to do business. We have an opportunity to do business. Might it be that your business is the side effect of who you're becoming right now in this moment in time? Is there a way for you to give people a place of that port in the storm, to be able to give them a ship they can get on and be a part of, and still deal with the challenges, the storm that exists? Because it's hard to have a conversation until it's not. To be able to have a dialogue, to be able to hear people, that I think is going to be one of the biggest gifts that comes out of this. Because there's a whole bunch of energy that's stored up. And that energy is going to need to be displaced. It's going to need to be exuded. I'm glad I can't catch all of the sunlight. That would hurt. I can catch what I can use. I can put things in place that can use the sunlight. And then there's things I put out to protect things from the sunlight. It's energy. If we're all on a journey, where are we going? Where are you arriving today? In this second, in this moment, where are you arriving? Because none of us are stopping on our journey. Where is it that you're wanting to go? Who is blocking your way? Who is encouraging you along the way? What have you grown? What have you grown in the last 90 days? What has grown inside you? What have you grown outside of you? We've heard some conversations of people who are on this call who we see this metamorphosis, this caterpillar into butterfly kind of change, such that we're not even, we think it's the same person, but these changes have been dramatic. That's another thing this time brings us, is dramatic change. What will you do through it? What can you do for it? How can you keep it? We're all on a journey. Where are we all winding up? The ultimate wind up in the physical world is the grave. That's the journey we're all heading towards. What can you do more of now, in this time, in this moment, in this breath, to rob the grave of taking your talents? Good morning, Daniela. I see your hand is up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Outstanding.
Oh, I got some good news.
Uh-oh, yay.
I know. So when I first started, I just want to start off like this. So when I first started getting on these calls, I kind of like, because when you asked what's stopping us, so I wrote in the messages contradiction, because when I first started on these calls, I was halfway a believer. So as time went by, and the more I believed in our morning calls, the more I believed in myself, the more I kept my hands open, I started seeing change. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really realize how much I personally affected of what is actually happening around me. So I kind of was just like going with my days and like doing my routines and doing my calls with you guys. And And then I finally started seeing, like, the more I was a believer, the more abundance, the more things were happening around me. And not only, like, am I, like, prospering in my business, but we just got approved for our first home.
Woohoo!
I know. I'm so excited. I think we spent the last 3 days, like, on a rampage of hunting for homes.
Wow.
And I really didn't think this was going to be possible this year at all.
So then I need to ask the question then. If you didn't think it was going to be possible, how has it become possible?
Because I actually started believing after I had 2 people tell me, like, it wasn't possible. And I was like, no, there's a way. I know where there's a will, there's a way. At least I always believed in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing some research because of in the field that I was in for a long time, since I was in the restaurant industry. A lot of, like, cash tips aren't claimed, so income was, like, an issue. And I was like, there's probably other ways. And so I just started believing myself that there was a way and we could do it by the end of summer. And my whole my mindset changed, even though people are telling me, like, I don't know how you're going to do it because of my income. Like, not everything was claimed and da 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 da. And I'm like, so I finally did some research, and I actually found a bank that approved us for even with our bank statements.
So why do you think that bank exists?
I don't know, to help, I guess.
All right. Well, how does it make you feel?
Amazing.
So does that bank exist for people to feel amazing about their life?
Yeah.
And you had to go find it. So could you imagine what somebody at that bank, somebody who started that bank, started to look at different ways to be of what?
Service.
Hmm. Because in service, they now found you.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it that way.
If their service, if somebody didn't have a servant's heart, they'd have never found you. Do you think you working through them allows them to generate some income?
Yeah, of course.
Well, I mean, this is called playing it deep. So now you didn't think something was possible, but a part of you, your heart spoke up and said, and everybody kept telling you it's not possible. And you're in an industry that makes it kind of almost impossible because you can't provide all of the records that everybody has. But somewhere out there, a bank goes, we work in a place where people sometimes can't report everything in certain ways, but their money flows through them. And they come up with a way that all of a sudden, quite possibly, you could be approved for something. So now, do you think the people at the bank benefit from you showing up?
Yes.
Do you think there's people at the bank you'll never meet, but because of you and your loan, potentially, you're able to help their kids go on a vacation?
Yes.
Do you think when you buy the house, whoever is wanting to sell the house is going to be happy to sell it to you?
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe now that you have a house, do you think Home Depot is going to be happy or Lowe's is going to be happy
Of
that you
course.
do you see how many people are in joy when you decide to run as fast as you can and turn into a butterfly?
Damn, you don't really think about it that deep.
Why not? But does it play out that deep, or am I just making all this stuff up?
No, it does play out that deep. I just
And
didn't really put it in that perspective.
Well, this is what happens if we don't play it deep. We lose how much impact we have. See, there's very few things that will make this particular purchase, this particular journey, not worthy. Most everything, right? You buy the home, you buy the broken window too, right? You buy the plugged toilet, you buy all of the things that can go wrong that you are now the owner of.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Most people are pretty okay with that because they can have influence over that. The challenge is too many people want a result without playing it deep. And somewhere on level 4 or 5, very often there's some very big challenges that appear when you start to play things deep, that if you don't adjust it on level 2, it turns out to be disastrous. And so playing at level deep, 6, 7, 8 levels deep, it changes everything the way you look at it, and you realize you are orchestrating the universe in such a way, with such direction, that the journey happens at light speed. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Just becoming aware, you made a huge difference for you, for your family, for Mateo, for everybody.
Thank you.
I love you, Mateo.
Thank you, John.
Sean.
John.
It all works for me coming from Mateo. So congratulations. How do you feel?
I mean, I don't even have words.
Wait, was he talking to me or me?
No, he's talking to me because I told him that we're buying a house.
Oh yeah, and we're trying to buy a house that has a basement.
That would be good.
Oh, and do you want to see my cute kitty?
I love it.
Yeah, I really don't have words.
Well,
be
so here's what the reason that you don't have words is because it's a heart energy. Words come from the brain. Words come from the brain is not consciousness. The brain is the ability to focus your consciousness in a direction, whether it be through words or actions. And when you are wordless, you're still not emotionless. So pay attention to what drew you to. I would go back and I would just do a little bit of meditation on how did you find this bank? How did you find this resource? Yesterday wasn't its first day in business, right? The day you found it?
Yeah, it wasn't.
So because most people don't know that there's a source out there that can serve, everybody tells you there's no chance. Would you say that life is filled up pretty much that way, as we as entrepreneurs, as business people, as parents, as friends, as brothers, as sisters, as moms and dads? We're limited by what we believe is possible based upon the information others tell us what's possible. Do you realize you might be able to start a Facebook community of hospitality individuals who don't know about this bank?
I referred like 3 people to him already. I was so excited.
And I bet they're like, wait a minute, who they do what?
Right. Everybody's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
So and who knows? Okay, so let's just say it's a bunch of little leprechauns and wizards and angels that showed up and made this bank, and that in 4 days it'll all disappear after your loan is done. And everything is still perfect. And you're like, I can't find it anymore.
Ow.
You did what you can with it. You used it the best way you can. You served people in using it, and you were served by using it. We're all on a journey. Where are we arriving? What are we looking for? What's right in front of us that we can't see? So I applaud you for that. Congratulations. Keep us updated on it.
Thank you. Will do. We're actually going to see one today.
Yay.
I know.
That's so exciting. Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Hey, good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I just wanted to comment on believing. Actually, I wasn't planning on talking today, but then the first topic is believing, and I want to talk about the power of believing, because for the majority of my life, I didn't believe. I didn't believe in a higher power, and therefore I didn't really believe too much in myself. Then I started to do a little bit more reading, kind of played around with meditation, and I was reading an audiobook or listening to an audiobook driving called Spirit Hacking. And there was a part of the book that kind of had me break down a little bit. So I started crying and I was like, you know what? Maybe there is a higher power out there. Maybe I should start looking for signs. As soon as I said that, the strangest thing happened. It's this large truck, and I've never seen one before or after, um, drives by, makes a sharp left in front of me, and it's a Spirit right on the truck. So ever since that day, I've kind of decided that I'm going to start believing and paying more attention and doing more meditating. And ever since that day, there's been signs. Almost every single day, there's been, God talking to me, or just signs, just like looking left, and there's something pops up, and I'll be like, okay, well, let me follow this way and this path. And basically, yeah, this process of believing has put me in a state of joy, completely changed the direction that I'm heading as far as in my life. Now I want to serve myself and serve others. And, that's brought me kind of together, and yeah, living in a state of joy. And that's the power of believing. So I just kind of wanted to comment on that.
Jeremy, I appreciate that. And I think it's, you said as soon as I made the decision, this things I've never seen before show up. This is what happens all the time. This is what happens with everything. And it's not always the good that surprises us. It's the bad that surprises us. And if the law of attraction works, it works in every direction, right? So when we start to say, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what bad things happen to me. I can't believe the world's against me. But when we say we have some good things, right? We go, oh, well, I got so lucky in this, that, or the other. Is it just that we are? And when we do finally direct the energy that's outflowing from us, do we not see things in a different light? Right? So there's always a story to tell about belief and doubt. Faith and courage are home, fear and doubt knock on their door. They open the door, and faith and courage open the door, and no one was there. All of a sudden, things change. Our ability to do things changes. Right? From you doing your first video, from you starting to deciding to work out, right? To being able to have results that other people want. But the challenge is most people aren't willing to go through what you did to get what you want. They just want what you want, what you got. So part of our challenges is as we continue to grow in our own success is to remind people of the journey. And no matter how many people go on the journey with you, you're still going to have to make the decision for yourself, by yourself, in the silent, quiet, wherever you were at. You were in a car and you said, I decide, I choose to move in this direction. And who knows, maybe that truck has always been there. Maybe your decision was energetically to avoid running into the truck. Who knows? All we know is that you sit here before us today in a state of gratitude and a state of belief that we all thought maybe you always had. That's the challenge when people see you as successful, is they can't see you unsuccessful unless we tell the story. Right? If we look at somebody like Jessica, who has her hair absolutely gorgeous today, and she may be like, well, I just woke up and blah, blah, blah. And there's 1,001 stories other than it's absolutely amazing today. It stands out. But we look at it, it's wonderful to look at. It's another thing to own. Right? So we can always look upon things and see them for what we would like them to be. Belief is one of them. Joy is another one of them. Oh, I wish I was more joyful. Well, you don't have to wish. You can have it right now. Oh, but there's so much going on, or this, that, or the other. There is, but you can still be in joy. You can still enter along the journey and have an amazing morning. What are you surrounding yourself with? Who's on the journey with you? Who's telling you can't go that way? Right? Everybody was telling Daniela, nobody was saying you don't deserve a house. They just didn't know that there was a solution to help her because of who she is to get a house. Is there a difference between house and love? Wait a minute. Now you're mixing objects with emotion. Don't we do that all the time? Isn't our entire life filled with objects? Don't we come across objects every moment of every day along our journey? It's when we close our eyes that we lose sight of our objects, that we need to step inside, we need to step internally. And when we step internally, that's when we get lost. That's when the mind of objects runs like crazy, trying to get you to open your eyes back up. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. There's all of these tasks that need to be done. I can't slow down my mind. My mind is crazy. I go to lay down and I think about 1,001 things I need to do. How many things can you do at once? One. They prove multitasking is not beneficial to whoever's multitasking. Daniela is now focused on one thing, the house. Everything else now, because there's a light at the end of the tunnel, everything else now pales in comparison. I can promise you on their dream board or on their calendar, today was not the days to go look at more houses. But today is the day to go look at more houses because it gives them a journey that's worthy of their time and changing their direction. Good morning, Jessica. I see your hand is up.
Good morning. How are you?
Outstanding, my love.
I hope everyone is well. I've been having awakenings, and I don't know, they're all coming together. I saw this quote that said, "Look in the mirror, that's your hero." Actually, there's a bit in the middle. It says, "Look in the mirror. Do you see that person staring back at you? That's your hero." And then when you spoke yesterday, I was writing so much, and when you were talking about your responsibility to yourself and being your own hero, I was just writing all these things because I realized how much power we have in ourselves. And the other awakening I had, which was a few days ago, is my mum sent me this quote that said, "Write a letter to yourself of all the things you've been through and how you got through them." So as I began writing the first few lines, I felt like I was writing the letter for someone else. And then after that, I carried on writing, and then it was really real. And I started crying because I realized that I had gotten over it. Somehow I got through it. And that was the how. I was writing the how. And it was so overwhelming. And the thing was, is I prayed that I would find out these things. I would hear from other people, their experiences, or I prayed for other people to say things, and then somehow I would figure it out myself. And now you're talking about believing in yourself and where are you at? And I think, well, if you're your own hero, where are you at now? Can you see that you got through so many different things already? Now you've got something else to get through. Don't look at the how, because before it happened, so it's going to happen again.
So if you think of any movie that you've ever watched, the hero or the heroine is either on the journey because they chose to be on the journey or thrown into the journey. But the heroine or the hero always winds up they're on some part of their life along this journey, whether they've been the hero and they no longer want to be, but they're being drawn back into it. They didn't know they were the hero. Right. And that's, so if you look at it on a timeline, look at where you're at in your journey as this heroine that you are. Because we're all the hero for somebody. Sometimes it's for ourselves. And that's the hard part, when we need to be the hero for ourselves. When we need to realize that we're the one that's making the journey, and that it's a very lonely place when you realize you're the hero.
Yes. You're the one that has to pick yourself up and say, okay, dust yourself off, let's go.
Put a Band-Aid on the scratch, or give yourself some stitches because of the scar, and away you go.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be, probably tomorrow, I'll be talking about finding your secret sauce. I'm going to be putting on a program to do that. It'll probably be a 4-week program outside of the calls, because right now I think we all need to find our secret sauce. We need to find our superhero within us. And there's a process to do that. It's a 6-step process. So that when we do have conversations with people, as we continue to have conversations with people, we can stand strong in the storm and be that guiding light, and be that lighthouse, and be that one that says there's a warning, and we can warn people. We don't have to direct them. We don't have to tell them what to do, because right now it's hard to tell anybody what to do.
Yeah.
Practically impossible to even if it's good for them. You can't tell anyone right now, with the energetic field that's around in the world, what to do. All we can do is offer and stand as lighthouses. Yeah. And your lighthouse becomes your secret sauce, and people are looking for you to have your secret sauce. There's ways to find people to flow them into you and in and around you. Kyle Wilson talks about teaching the wheel of marketing, and that wheel of marketing, and how do you flow people down to you? How do you outside here influence people, become a source of resources that allows them to flow into you? And that's what I'm going to teach. And then once they get down this spoke of marketing, through social media, through giveaways, through videos on different channels, whatever your spoke is that allows people to flow to you, then the question is when they get there, are they going to find what they were looking for? And the way that happens is that your secret sauce needs to be part of your marketing, part of your messaging. And there's certain things that each of you have that is unique to you, that allows you to stand out in the world, that people can find you right now.
Yeah, and I can connect with that. For example, I'm very interested in travel. I've always wanted to travel the world. I've always had a bucket list, and I've been looking on Instagram at people who have a travel profile, and I want to connect with them because I think they're so open-minded, and they've seen the good of the world. Right now, there's so much going on in the world, and everyone's talking about, this has happened, that's happened, what's going on in the world. But I still see the beauty in the world. I still want to connect with everyone and say that the world is beautiful. So I've been asking people questions on their pictures, and I've said, oh, this looks amazing. For instance, I saw a girl who had a picture. She was sitting near the Grand Canyon, and she's got her feet dangling just off the side. And I saw a comment, someone said, oh, I could never do that. I'd have so much anxiety that I would fall off the other side. And you see all the comments and everyone says something, says, oh, that's lovely, or this picture's amazing. But no one asks any questions. So when you ask questions on people's photos, they answer and they say thank you that you liked it. So you build this conversation, and I try to connect with people everywhere because I see the beauty in everything. And I think that's how I'm trying to show my love and light. Even though that's a small thing, I think that's how I've been thinking lately.
Well, it's not small if it's changing your world.
It's massively changed my world.
So then it's see how our brain decides to limit us again.
Yes, I keep swerving.
but this is how. But the audience will hear that too, because if you say this changes, me asking one question changes the world, people are like, well, she's a little high on herself, isn't she? She thinks she's pretty special. She thinks one question changes the world. It does. It changes your world.
Yes.
And we give people the chance to have the ability to understand that anything they say can influence who they are, can influence what they do. There is no world out there. There's only your world. There's no economy out there. There's only your economy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So in this dialogue that you have, because that's what questions create a dialogue.
Yeah.
And in this dialogue, you begin to do what Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand, then you can be understood. And isn't it neat how people become excited about answering a question? Isn't that what we do in prospecting? The challenge is we prospect to people's fears. Imagine if you asked the question that somebody else's statement was, oh my gosh, weren't you afraid putting your feet over the edge? That's you should be more careful. They'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you talking about fears? I wasn't afraid of that. But doesn't that happen when we prospect?
All the time.
You prospected them for an engagement. You engage them in a dialogue. That's all we do. It's a prospecting conversation. We're always prospecting. But yet sometimes we're given a script by somebody who's gone off and made 6 and 7 figures. And they're like, well, you just need to be more this, this, and this, and run them through the ropes and show the plan and go for no. Could you imagine what it would be like on social media if we had to go for no's to find people who liked our stuff? Why doesn't it work? Why aren't we told go for no on social media as you build your audience? Because nobody would find you. Nobody would talk to you if you constantly went for no's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's true. I want to connect with people and get to know them,
Mm-hmm.
and ask them 10 questions first about how they see the beauty in things, because that's what we do. We as a community, we know the compensation plan. We know those things, but we need to show people that they can be their own hero.
I can tell you this, at a painting class, they don't start off by teaching you paint and brushes. In an education class, they do. In a pottery class where it's like, I don't know, wine and pottery, where you go for the evening and you spend some time, you're drinking some wine and making some pottery. They don't talk to you about the clay. They tell you the wine that you're drinking, and they tell you how not to don't get burnt, or don't do something stupid, don't spill stuff on you. But it's about the joy of it. We don't need to get into the details. And sometimes the comp plan or the company or the longevity or this, that, or the other, or the platform that you use in your back office and your trading and your training, nobody really cares about that stuff. But yet we spend so much time learning about it. So I applaud you for being as inquisitive as you are and being curious as you are, because that's what causes people to want to be a part of us, is the curiosity. So
Thank you so much.
thank you. I appreciate you, Jessica. Love you bunches.
Yeah, you too.
Moshe, good morning, Moshe.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are
I
you?
actually was not gonna talk either, but you know, Jeremy's spirit just like kind of, you know, catapulted me. You know, yesterday I was by the Hudson River here in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to like take some pictures, and you know, that then it occurred to me, I'm like, you know what, I should do a live and share this with the world, because it would be selfish of me to just enjoy it on my own. And so that kind of, you know, like made me resonate also with what Jessica just said, is, you know, sharing yourself with the world and finding love in everything, and just being gratitude instead of just being grateful, just actually practicing it yourself and just being in a state of gratitude. And I think that's well, I know that that's one of the things that has helped me find my secret sauce, right? um, and during this pandemic, you know, I've been able to uncover so many gifts that I didn't even know I had. And I also had to thank you as well, sir, for that, because, you know, I'm a very confident guy, but at the same time, I'm a introvert. I'm an extrovert, introvert kind of guy where I get shy. And so this has helped me step into the world, as you told me, uh, one of our first calls. And it's like, I feel like that ship that leaves the dock, and like when you look back, you're like, wow, I've come this far in so little time, you know. And so I'm so grateful for that, guys. I thank all of you, because you've helped me grow more in compassion, more in empathy, more in everything. Honestly, like this right here, this community is just like, it's priceless. You can't put a value on this, even if you tried, right? And so that's, I think, my secret sauce, you know, like, and somewhat of everybody's secret sauce is just finding that gratitude and being gratitude all the time. So
Something as simple as a smile
yeah,
becomes priceless when they no longer exist. But when you have an abundance of them, every one of them can become priceless.
yes,
So it's like the never-ending journey or the never-ending story.
mm-hmm,
It's constantly changing, and we're each asked to be a hero,
mm-hmm.
right? We
Yes,
throw
sir.
smiles away all the time, but do they get thrown away? If energy is always consistently moving through time and space, right? And I love you to you is now moving out into space as fast as sound can move, and it'll show up who knows where, on what planets, in what energy, and in what form.
Yep.
But
Sound.
it's always there. It's now out there. You can't unring a bell.
Yeah. It's so amazing what you just said. I know I'm I know many people may not understand what you just said, but trust me, guys, it is real. Everything that you say travels upon the ethers. It just keeps on carrying and carrying on till it makes it right back to you again. And that's a testament to something that I kind of wrote on Facebook like 4 years ago. I said, and I was not at a good state, right? I was not at a good state at that time. But this is how powerful just writing something or journaling is, because I wrote on Facebook, do everything with a good attitude and love, and the world will give that right back to you. In essence, in summary, that's what I said. And believing, just like Jeremy said, is so important. Actually believing those words, that even though you may not be at the state that you want to be at, you will get there as long as you believe. So I'm so thankful and grateful, Sean. Like, oh man, this last month has just been the most incredible time of my life, and just seeing, honestly, all these chaotic moments, they serve a greater purpose. You know, that light that you're talking about, that these moments are the defining moments, and the pivot of where we're gonna make the pivot to, right? And you're like one of the first ones to hold the torch up to tell everybody, guys, the light is here. Like, keep going towards it. Like, you will get there. So thank you. Sean.
Well, Moshe, I appreciate that. And sometimes being able to hold the light up, maybe we are the light on a ship, and we still need to pay attention to the things around to avoid the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So sometimes we're the lighthouse, sometimes we're the ship in the dark, but we're looking for the light. We rotate through this energetic field instantly and instantaneously.
Yes.
So
I agree.
And the challenge is we think we're always just one thing. We're everything. If the next instant holds unlimited possibilities, it's not impossible for us to be the lighthouse right now, and in this second be the ship that's looking for the lighthouse, that's looking to avoid the rocks. And then when we know that, now we can become the lighthouse again for every ship that's behind us, or for every other lighthouse that's light has gone out.
Yeah.
It's so critical for us to be in the moment, to be aware of this moment, and in this moment be joy, so that we can help others do more, be more, have more, all by doing less.
Yeah.
So thank you for being on that journey, Moshe.
And I wanted to add something to what you just said, because you just made me think about it. Like, God is so smart and meticulous, because he keeps you in a state of humility with what you just said, right? You can be that light for everyone else, but he will always be the greater light for you, right?
If you make sure you see it. And
Exactly.
that's what happens.
Yeah.
Pride causes us to fall sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm the end all be all. Really? Let me just go.
Uh-huh. You just made me think about that right there.
I'm so good at what I do. Really? You could be better.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
if you're feeling guilty about all your blessings, I got a solution for that. A couple times a week, go to your favorite hot dog stand and just ask them to make you one with everything.
Well, thank you. I'll have to make a vegan hot dog stand.
They got them somewhere.
Yeah.
They
Thank
got
you.
one in the Heights, Moshe. I'll tell you where.
Oh,
Thanks, Moshe. I appreciate you, brother.
thank you.
Good morning, Gigi. Good morning, Gina.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So the weirdest thing happened yesterday, but it's not really
Shocking.
weird. So yesterday I took a nap, and then when I had a dream about the ex that I had the whole release over
Right.
a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, why is this person in my dream? And then I came across Abraham Hicks video, and she was talking about kind of yourself telling yourself about something that you may not see in front of you.
Right.
And the same thing happened to this lady in the video. She was talking about that she didn't she had a dream about her ex-husband. And then ultimately it came to the result that she didn't release the anger that she had. And then I was like, dang, I may have released the hurt, but I don't think I released the anger. Because when I still thought about the person, I would get angry. And I'm like, this makes so much sense. So then I had to like write a release letter yesterday. I was like, okay, let me do this. And in the letter, when I wrote it, I wrote in a sense of like the things that happened, but I learned, like I wrote after that, the lessons that I learned from it and how it was able to make me the person that I am today and help to make me a stronger person. The fact that I went through those things and I was able to get through it. And then I got Scott's book in the mail and I was like, wow, this is kind of perfect timing.
Funny how it's always that way, isn't it?
Yeah, that was my day yesterday. Okay.
So Gina, now that you did that and you wrote the release letter and you are awakened to the new thing that it kept showing up, because this is, ever since that day, that story has continued to show up every day. And in understanding that now, right, it comes from Abraham Hicks. And Abraham shows up and all of a sudden you see this, there's somebody else out there just like you. Can you imagine? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I encourage you. You may not know if your story, but I know that I know Esther Hicks didn't have an event yesterday for you. I don't know when, you know, if you looked at to see when that event was done, right? Sometimes the videos they'll say this is from our event in May 2007, 2012, whatever it was. But could you imagine if that woman never stood up, where you might still be stuck?
Yeah.
That's why each of you is such a light in the world. And it may not happen today. That's why that woman probably stood up 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 8 years ago. And who knows if it was for anybody in the audience. Maybe it was just for Gigi to find yesterday, to free her soul. It's why every one of you has a voice that is so important to this world. Even in this moment right now, speaking the energetic that flows through you, the energy that flows through you, the energetic awareness and awakenings that you are having. Because Gigi, you can give somebody hope right now. See, everybody looks at you and they go, I want what Gigi's got. I want what Gina's got. I want to look like that. I want to look like her post that she builds women on Instagram. I want to look like that post. I want to be able to have that. And yet they still don't know that you were scared to post it. They still don't know that you were in the dark journey search for freedom. Oh yeah, but how could that make a difference? I guarantee you, if we go find that woman who gave you the courage to go do what you did and said, do you realize how important that was? It wasn't important. I was being very selfish. I don't know that anybody could ever use it. And here you are telling us about the story again. Everything has an echo. Everything has an echo. Is the echo worthy to be heard? Your echo this morning is worthy to be heard. It needs to be said that there's always a place out there. This is where you going through your journey. That's the definition of a hero's journey. They leave on their own. You made the decision on your own. You weren't sitting in a crowded room, everybody cheering you on, going, find the solution, Gigi, find the solution, find the solution. No, you were by yourself in your own journey. That's the definition of a hero's journey. You leave, you learn, you come back, you teach. You leave, you learn, you come back, you teach. Too many people want to teach without ever leaving to go on the journey. That's an experience you have that no one can ever take from you and no one can ever give to you. And how do you feel now?
Feel good. I've been kind of like up and down the past week. Not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
because you're still giving it away. And when you give it away, I would encourage you, as you start to give these things away, give away that anger, that frustration. I would do your best to find a way to ensure that you've got something to replace it with joy.
Because another like weird thing that's been happening, and that's why I don't understand when people say the spirituality stuff is like made up. I've had like weird experiences, but for the past 2 weeks, I've been having like this tightness, like a little bit above my belly button. And that's like, I guess technically where the solar plexus is. And I've been feeling like this tightness and it would come and go. But when I would try to like pinpoint it, it would start to move. And it would like start to move up and down. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then like with me writing the release letter, it kind of made sense because I remember when I had the release, I was talking about that this would give me my power back because I was giving that other person my power because they had the control of how I felt about myself.
Yep.
I'm like, this is, okay. It's all starting to come together and make a lot more sense.
And this just shows that our brain is only the direction of our consciousness that resides in our body. Because if changing our thoughts was as simple as changing our thoughts, we could change our thoughts. But we have to rewire our body. This is all stored inside of our body. The energy, the reproduction of all of that pain was happening in your body. We've witnessed people on this call have freedom and 30 days later still not be free. And the reason is because this is wired in our body at 70,000 thoughts a day. We have to rewire our body energetically, emotionally. It's why we have to spend a tremendous amount of time in the awareness of the thing that we're looking to change. Again, I go back to Joseph Campbell listening. He says, in this moment, the only place the moment of choice can happen is in quiet. We can't make choices from this pandemonium, just running crazy. There always, at any moment a choice is made, there has to be a moment of silence. They say it exists tremendously in dancers, and if dancers don't have that place of peace that they can move into, it's very difficult to make the next step. So how can anyone in a rant telling their students what to do, pontificating from a platform and saying, you all should be doing this. It's here it is, the 9th of the month. You guys should be at this level and you should be at this level. And if your message doesn't give people a place to breathe, to make a choice, they can't ever hear their own voice. And that's the journey you've been on here, Gigi. So thank you for having some quiet time for yourself. Thank you for giving hope to others that, yes, I gave away this, but I didn't give away this. That's vulnerability, because in that vulnerability, in your vulnerability-ness, gives us all strength to know that there's possible, to know that this heroine who sits before us, who continues to step in on this journey, every day comes to an awakening that says, good Lord, it's never really over, is it? Until it is. And it's that moment that it's over that we feel the emptiest. Until we fill it with joy. It's why we do need community. It's why we do need friends and family. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Wait, not one more question?
No, not today.
Okay.
Maybe tomorrow.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How much do you love you?
Ooh. I'm trying to think of the right word.
Mhm.
I would say infinitely.
Cool. And is that a different level of love that you have for you than you've had before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. It's interesting to go from limit to unlimited.
Mm.
It's a crazy feeling.
I realize I love myself unconditionally too, even with all of the things that I may not, I don't know, what's the word I'm trying to say? All of the things that I may have like picked at myself about and put myself down about. It's like, oh, I mean, I love myself even with the things that I'm not, knowing that like I'm not perfect. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But now it's you knowing it versus you having to agree to somebody else's depiction of you.
Yeah.
So I applaud you for that. That's a huge step.
I just wanted to say something real quick, Sean.
Go ahead.
But Gigi, you are perfect because the creator that made you perfect. That's all you need to know.
That's true.
Well, and that's a process we go through of humanity on the journey to realize that sometimes what we consider imperfect is the lesson for others to help them avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What you just shared is didn't make you any less perfect to us that you hadn't let go of the anger. It was a reminder to others that as Gigi continues to awaken to her perfectness that has always existed, it's okay for me to see what I'm holding on to that doesn't serve me.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding.
Thank you guys. I love you guys so much.
And in your giving all of your love to us, we get to reciprocate and keep you filled up.
I'll take all the love that you got to give to me.
I know. I know it.
Sean, I noticed nobody else has their hand raised, but I've been meaning to ask you this question.
Okay.
Can you like share a story of like yourself when you were in one of those moments that you were like really down and then you just like pushed through it? Because I would love to hear one.
So in the world I operate in, I deal a lot with people wanting to build business. And it's always about building the community. So this just happened. Again, these things happen daily to me. It's not nobody is immune to it. And when you begin to operate at bigger levels, the operations happen, the challenges, the pushbacks happen often to test your ability to stay focused, right? The clouds come in, doesn't keep the lighthouse from showing. So something that's happened recently in a business that I have these two individuals who have worked closely together for years and years and years, and they've become part of the model, part of the system. Well, one of them decides to leave to go into a similar field, exactly similar field in the similar marketplace. And so the biggest thing that happens is, first of all, as the mentor to both, do you stop mentoring one and because the other one, it's not in your business model. It is not an income stream. So in traditional words, they become the competition. You make an agreement, you make an arrangement to them, and all of a sudden the whole fear is, well, there goes half of the business. There goes half of everything. What do you do with that? And the timing is perfect for it. The timing is perfect to lose half of everything. Think about everything you have, and then think about the businesses that each of you have, and now picture half of it going away. And some of you are like, well, I don't have any business now. But picture a fairly large business and half of it just walking away. Now, that can happen if you put up the fight. But if you put up the friendship, and if the friendship was real that you built, if the leadership was real that you built, if the mentorship was true that you built, and if the whole idea of abundance is real and abundance exists everywhere and everything in every moment, nobody needs to tear anybody else's building down to have to go build their own building. There's enough resources to build your own building. So with everybody's fear and everybody's angst and everybody's this and everybody's lawsuits and everybody wants to do this, that, or the other, they ask me, what do we do? I said, love them, support them, help them any way that we can. How could you do that? How could we do that? We could lose so much. I said, but guess what we could gain? Well, I don't know. I said, well, then spend as much energy as you could on that. Now, is there a shocking moment that says, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening? Yes. But that just happened in the last 3 months.
That's huge.
Imagine having a business that's pretty dang large, and imagine IBM and the president, and both of them are loved equally, do different tasks, but loved equally. And one of them decides to leave to go off to start their MIB. And everybody knows how to go do both of those tasks very well. But one group decides to stay. And everybody decides to stay in this particular place. So the challenge then becomes, how do you manage that person leaving who thought they had influence over everybody that they had brought to the table? It shows that influence can be directed. Influence can be lost. Friendships don't have to be lost, but influences can be lost. People are looking for a place to where they can begin to live their dreams. They don't have to wish anybody hurt or harm when they leave. There is no destruction. It's impossible to have destruction if it was always built on love. And so when you look around and you go, well, they're arguing about that, or they're screaming about this, that's all the pressure that was inside that's being squeezed and come out. Listen, I squeeze an orange juice comes out. I can't scream at it and go, why ain't I drinking any apple juice? But that's what's happening. That's what happens in most people's business.
Wow.
And when they wanted to leave, I said, let me put you in a place, let me find you a place that you can be the best served.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, they're still part of the family, but they're not part of the income. It's like letting your kid go off. You start a family business and the kid wants to go off and start their own hot dog stand. Great. Go have a hot dog stand. Let me serve you. Let me drive as many people to your hot dog stand as possible. Your vegan hot dog stand. So yeah, that happened. And then yesterday, even something else happened. Right? When countries start putting news out about you, not social media, countries. It's like, okay. So then you start to go, okay, well, I guess there is no bad press. There's only press. But when you can instantly see in a 24-hour period, things change, you go, isn't that interesting? When you've got orders at this level, and then all of a sudden newspaper articles come out about you, and all of a sudden goes to this level, isn't that interesting? You wonder, where did they get the information from? Who drove them to that? Somebody did. And it was all good a week ago. So people are always looking to tear down versus build up.
The divide and conquer mentality.
Yep. And so what do we do? Well, you take a step. That country is marketing their what's the word I'm looking for? Their story, their propaganda in certain ways that serves them. Okay. So you take a step and you step over here and you keep going over here. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
The obstacle is the way.
And Buddha says he doesn't tell you the way. Everybody always says, I will show you the way. But the challenge in our profession is everybody wants to say, tell me the way. I can't tell you the way. I can only show you the way. And we get lost because nobody has their eyes open. Tell me exactly what to do. I can't tell you your homework. I can't tell you what to do. I can show you the way. And in showing the way is revealed. Your way is different than my way. I don't know if anybody on here has a country that's promoting things against you right now. If you are, let's have a conversation. I'd love to hear what you're doing. But we're worried about somebody not liking our post on Facebook. Are you kidding me? And the other thing, Moshe, I'll say this, is that I have a 600 generation plan. Does this day really, is it really that big of a road bump?
It's a micro spec.
It's not even going to make it into the bylines of the magazine for the 600 generations. It's not. It'll be one little speck in the ring of success that somebody will go, what was that? I'm not even sure I see it. What are you talking about? Right over here. Let's get a magnifying glass. And that's what happens is sometimes we go, when we find the bad, we want to go magnify it.
Mm-hmm.
I choose not to magnify it.
Yeah. It's kind of like what you said yesterday too, if you being that one that made it. From all the
500 million, 500,000, 500,000. You made it. You're the champion. You're here. It's already in your DNA. We say, I want to be like an Olympian. We talk about, we hear how the Germans were blonde hair, blue eyes, and they were breeding them and making them and this, that, or the other. And that was going to be the perfect race. Well, you were already won the perfect race, called your individuality. It was in your DNA to win. All we have to do is begin to remember. And in that memory, our greatness reveals itself to us. You're a champion. You should be challenged. Some of us have become weak on our championshipness, if there's such a word. And it's why we get strengthened. It's why we get challenged. It's why we have resistance. Each of you are an amazing champion. Does that help, Moshe?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Always.
So I sit here today with, and it's not directed personally at me, what the country is marketing, because it can't be. It's untrue. But what they're doing is telling their best truth, because nobody likes to build up. Do you think a country would literally be giving free marketing? So they can't give away free marketing, so they got to make it look like it's finding fault with something. But probably in very short order, all of that will be retracted. And guess what we get to do with all of that? See, people don't realize that when you're trying to tear somebody else's building down, if you don't have the right equipment to really tear it down, all it does is build it up. And all of the articles and all of the clippings and all of the television shows or whatever it was that was done, all of that's now fodder for us to go, and this is what they said about us 2 months ago. Do you realize all of the free press? That's what happens to every single one of you. That's what happens to Gigi. Gigi now can go have all of this free press because the lady that stood up with Esther Hicks and listening to Abraham. What if Esther and Jerry never put out that video for Gigi? What if Abraham didn't show up that day? We wouldn't know about Esther and Jerry Hicks and Abraham. And some of you are going, who is that? I would encourage you. Google Esther Hicks, Esther and Jerry Hicks. And if you listen to how Abraham came about in their world, it was two huge tanker trucks kind of merging together, and the energetic level caused them to get off the highway and have this amazing conversation. It started with their noses moving in meditation, started with Esther's nose move, and she was typing out with her nose moving through the air and spelling words. See, if we don't pay attention to the subtleness, sometimes we'll never see the greatness. And if anything is really big on your screen today, on your radar today, you've got to ask your question, how long is your story worth telling? Are you living a today story, or are you living a 10-year story, a 9-year story, a 90-year story, a generational story, a 2-generation story, a 400-generational story? Is today really going to take you off your game? You're all much bigger. Your moments, your avatars of thousands of years of existence, millions of years of existence, light years of existence that have shown up in this time and space energetically. And somebody calling you nuts is going to take you off your game?
Yeah. You just made me want to read a journal entry.
Go ahead.
Sure, let me get it. One second. All right, here you go. I actually shared this a little bit ago. So what's amazing, Sean, I've never journaled in my life, and a friend gifted me this, and it looks just like yours, and I just happened to meet people just like you, which is amazing. Never in my life had I journaled, but you know, everything has its purpose. All right, so this is a little snippet of my journal entry, which goes with what you just said, and is one of the affirmations I tell myself. It says, I'm massive organized energy, electromagnetically in tune and harmoniously attached to your name, Yahweh, with great power and glory. I am faith broken down into matter, and I am faith because you, my Father, Yahweh, are the seen and unseen realities of my existence. I am extraordinary potential, and I am potent because your energy is my energy in motion, bouncing off of every living thing you have created.
There you go. When they write the history books, every one of you deserves a chapter in the history of this world. Think of a tombstone. Please don't let that dash be the definition of your entire life. Born, death, dash. Is that where your life exists, in a dash? My tombstone's going to have a TV screen in it. And it's going to be solar powered. And when you show up, it's going to be, oh, top of the day to you. What you be doing here? Are you be looking for somebody? I might know where they're at. So let me know. Tell me who. And somebody's going to be talking to a tombstone. And if I really have my say over it, there'll be Guinness that you'll be able to come get a pint of Guinness at the tombstone. We'll be sharing one. Do you happen to have a cold one? I'll take it off your hands. Are you kidding? I want a line to be there.
Have a drop-down menu for all your daily awakening.
Absolutely. Have you not been paying attention, lad? You need to be going back to some of this. There's some brilliant kids that are on the show. You need to be paying attention.
This is amazing.
Change the way we look at things. The things we look at change. Hey, Michael, let's talk to Michael. How are you, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Outstanding, man.
So I was listening on the call, and I was honestly just like, what's the word? Philosophizing?
Works for me.
Whatever the word is. And I was just thinking, so Moshe, when he was telling Gigi that we're perfect, like I understand that pretty well. I kind of really have a good grasp on who I really am.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of interesting to think. I was wondering why us as humans, why it's like us kind of like trying to figure out how we become perfect or realizing that. I was wondering why God made us that way. And there might not even be an answer for that. But I was just thinking about that stuff. It was I wanted to have a cool conversation with you about that. Like why us like just humanity. It's kind of hard to put into words. Do you have any idea of what I'm talking about?
Because my interpretation, right? What I'm about to say is just like an asshole. Everybody's got one. It's an opinion. But we've become to immortalized objects. And there's nothing in an object that we take with us, right? All of these things we say, you can't take it with you. But the challenge is we wait till we can't take it with us for us to find what we can take with us. And we miss out. That's why we cry at funerals, because we forgot to tell somebody we love them today. We forgot to let them know that each day they're important to us. Each hour they're important to us. We forget to fill up our tanks of gratitude. And in gratitude, we think, well, if I tell them, what are they going to tell me? And until we realize that our gratitude is unending and ever flowing, if we're waiting for reciprocity to take place, that's why we decide to not be perfect. It's somebody else's story that always keeps us from being perfect. Right now, where you're standing, you're walking on a pathway somewhere. You've got these beautiful trees. Have you stopped? Have you counted how many trees you've passed so far?
No. There's a lot.
Have you thanked the trees? Have you thanked the leaves for the shade, the individual leaves for the shade?
Nah.
Then I ask you, who's the bigger jackass on that path? What are you entitled to on that path? Are you not seeing things differently right now? How many years have they grown?
I definitely am.
How many years have they grown to provide you that shade? And each of those trees, because you're up north now, right? Where you at? No, where you live?
PA.
Okay,
PA.
so all of those trees went to sleep. And Rumi says they seem asleep, but the roots are ever energized and running and racing under the ground. So while they were sleeping, and now they came back out, and now they provide you some shade. Now they're absolutely exhaling what you're inhaling and inhaling what you're exhaling. There's a symbiotic relationship that happens right there, right now, with you being there. That's giving them breath. Do you know how grateful they are? They're so grateful for you that they actually create the shade that you now walk under. And yet they've never thanked them. So
yeah, it's really cool to think about, actually.
Why are we imperfect beings on a journey to become perfect? Because we forget how perfect we are. Listen, it's the insects that run the world, not us. If the insects disappeared, we'd all be out of a planet in probably 30 days, 60 days. It's that simple. The insects run this planet. And the reason that I think God made the insects to run the planet is so we couldn't have influence over them. We'll go spray Roundup on an anthill. We'll go spray some kind of ant killer on an anthill, and they'll go, but yet we got our yard okay. But we forget about the world. You're sitting on a bench right now. Can you imagine the people that made that bench, that put that there, the city folks that put that there, the city council that put it there, that decided to put that bench right there that allows you to listen to that bird that showed up for you right now? Did the bird show up for you, or did you show up for the bird? Because what if the bird didn't have you there to hear that sing? Do you think its heart would be any less, or does it just sing anyway because that's all a bird can do? When we start to pay attention, we begin to pay attention, and in our paying attention, there's nothing else we have to do. You could sit on that park bench like Eckhart Tolle did for the next 2 years and be in complete amazement with every breath. Or you can get your ass up and go, oh, I got to get back to work, which people do. But right now you sit in a moment of unbelievable beauty surrounded by you. Imagine if you had to investigate and interview every leaf and ask it its story. Is not the entire tree in the leaf? Is that not the expression of it? How many times do you see trees with leaves that are black and leaves that are orange and purple? And do you ever hear the leaves? Can you hear the leaves fighting amongst themselves right now for the sun? There's an old Indian proverb, Native American Indian proverb says, no two branches are ever foolish amongst them to fight amongst themselves for the sunlight. You can't tell me there's not consciousness all around you right now. There's absolute consciousness at an unaudible level that is so loud that if you sat there and listened to it, you would start turning into tears. Because every leaf is thanking you for showing up. Every piece of ground is thanking you for showing up. Every blade of grass. Even the bench is thanking you for sitting on it. Do you know how many people have walked by that bench and nobody sat on it? And do you think the bench goes, oh, they don't like me? How come they don't put their butt on my head? But yet the bench says, I can only do what I can do. Please sit here. All you can do is all you can do. And when you pay attention to what's around you, you realize the greatness that because you get to pay attention to it. You get to hear attention. You get to hear it. You get to see it, smell it, feel it, taste it, touch it. And all of a sudden you realize, are you the universe? Are you not all of those trees? Are you not all of those leaves? And when you realize that you are all of those leaves and you are all of those trees and you are all of that and they are all of you, why does anything matter? Because from this state, the smile that now exists on your face, that's bigger than it was before, and your smile is always very big. The energy that flows through you, the energy that's coming into you, that you have now taken off your shield and now is flowing in from you, from every single leaf, from every bit of ray of sun that shows up on you. You are absorbing all of this. Your body's not sure what to do with all of this. You're vibrating at a higher level, but it's able to withstand it all. You're able to take in the whole world. And now guess what you get to do? You get to reform it into a consciousness through your brain, because none of this is happening in your brain. This is happening energetically in your entire body. And your brain is now trying to come up with the words, the energy, the focus, the activity to be able to share it back into the world.
Wow. Hey, Sean, that was really cool. So one thing I really liked about that, I want to show you real quick. So this is a beautiful park, actually. It's really nice and private, and like, nothing special about it, but like those words you just said, it's like, it makes every little aspect of it just so much brighter. So what I'm going to do is rewatch this video, especially when it releases, and then just really soak in like how amazing this is, like this nature right here.
And even the vines, you're in Pennsylvania sometimes, so I don't know if kudzu makes it up there, but there's these vines that just seem to take over everything. Even they have a purpose. So you're in a amazing place of silence, of gratitude, and when you start to look around, you start to become all that you look around and see. Great to have you this morning, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hey, one last thing that you said. One thing I did notice. So, just from what was it? I think it was when I kept rereading Science of Getting Rich. When you said that when you look at the trees, like you were actually all the same. Like, it's kind of like interesting to explain. My perspective shifted, where it's like I truly do understand that, and like it's just like you go up and touch it, and like you go up and say you like touch a tree, you're like, dude, like we literally came from the same formless substance. Like we're like literally just different forms of energy. That's a really cool perspective shift.
It is. And if you walked over to any of those trees and just put your hand on it, you might be surprised with the messages you hear.
I know. I do that a lot. I don't let many people know that. I'll just go up and touch one. I'm like, oh wow, like whoa.
You know, in the movie The Avatar, where they say there's in the brain there's 10 million connections or 10 billion connections, but in Avatar, when they were looking at the roots, they said they have it to a factor of 1,000 more times. It is true. We are all connected. And it's in the disconnection that we get angry. And we're always looking for a place to tear something down. What if we were to, what if utopian in nature, we were all to build everything up? A tree doesn't complain when you need it to light a fire and to stay warm. Has anybody ever read the book, The Giving Tree? If you want to go through some Kleenex, read the book, The Giving Tree. That's all a tree can do. What can we do? What higher level can we participate with each other at that brings the world joy, that changes the energetic frequency? Thanks for having a cool conversation with me.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That was really cool. I'm having a great day right now.
There you go. Awesome. Tell the leaves I said hello. Love you, brother.
Love you too, Sean.
Good morning, Delia. Let's go from PA down to Miami.
Good morning.
Good morning, Delia.
How are you? How's
Outstanding.
everybody? Wow, what a great show today. And always, as you were speaking
That's because
about,
you're here.
thank you. I love to be here. As you were talking about, it is impossible to have destruction if the business was building love. Wow, guess what came up? So many nuggets from you, all the stuff that you have infused through all your recommendations. Well, the first picture that came up to mind was, life is all about breathing in and breathing out. Jimmy Buffett song. If anybody can relate to that song, breathe in, breathe out. And it's the problem with wanting to hold the breath that we get stuck. And then I thought, wow, acceptance. Acceptance is a big thing for not only for business, for everything. And then I thought, cash and release. You're fishing and you catch and you release. Just the people that fish for sports, not for feeding themselves, is catching and releasing. And then I thought, if we thought about each other, that we are energy, just like trees and animals, and actually even objects like a table is just an inertia energy.
Mhm.
We think about that, and that we are in this world passing and collecting experiences. Wouldn't we look at life? This is my question. Wouldn't we look at life choosing what to focus our experience on, so we can take those memories or energies with us? Because as we vibrate high from joy, as you always say, that's what we take. The money stays, the objects do stay, the fear stays. So why live in that situation that we own the world when we don't own anything?
It's just you know, when science and religion say the same thing, we should realize there's a bigger power. What do you mean science and religion say the same thing? Science says that everything moves out of form into form and back out of form. Well, in religion, we say the same thing. Everything comes from dust into life and back into dust. It's the same thing. So one decides that there is no higher energy, that there's only facts, and the other one says the facts aren't real. The facts are what we make them.
Exactly. And the last thing that came up, when we as 18-year-old or older start pulling and keeping and holding, I thought of 2 children at the age of 2. I don't care how old we are, we can be 90 and we can be stuck in that stage in growth where we are 2-year-olds thinking that if we hug things over, and if we keep, and it could be in a marriage, this could be anything actually, is the art of catching and releasing in love. Like when you spoke about your partners coming or leaving, actually, if, like you say, if we think, well, if they left, they must have a reason, and I respect their action, and what I was gonna say here, I'm getting emotional. If they leave, it's okay, because it's an opportunity for me to meet someone else, because the law of reciprocity. As someone leaves your institution, even if it's half of your business, guess what? Someone will take that place by law, by the law of the earth. So to worry about the toy that, you know, my daughter-in-law, bless her, she taught me when I was taking care of my grandkids, this applies to this. Because, you know, as the 2 and the 4-year-old were playing, the 2-year-old didn't know how to share yet. And he would come and think, well, the toy that Logan has is much more valuable than mine, because Logan is older and he puts the attention to the older brother. So guess what? She taught them, go back to the toy box or the closet where all the toys are stacked and labeled, and get another toy. Like, that's not the only toy that has value. So the kids learn that if one snatched a toy from the other, they could always go and find more. I thought that was brilliant. You know, what it is to see your grandkids already learning the art of catching and releasing. That is the most important thing that any human can practice. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Delia. And it just goes to show everything I needed to learn, I learned from a second grader. I learned in kindergarten. Well, there you go, folks. Another amazing day. You're all incredible, amazing misfits. RBP, any wrap up?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
This has been a fabulous morning. I've gotten all kinds of information, and there's just a couple of things that stuck out to me. You started off earlier today and you said you said 3 words, 4 total, that really just stuck to me even harder. And it was from limited to limitless. And it's interesting that you didn't say from limited to unlimited. It's interesting that you said limited to limitless. And when I heard the word limitless, there's something that jumped inside of me. And the only way I can explain it is when when you're carrying a child and it's that first time you feel this thing and you're like, do I have gas or what was that? And it's this flip in your belly and you're like, what in the world? And then you realize it's the first time the baby ever kicks or moves that you feel. And that happened to me when you used the word limitless. And I thought that's very curious as to how that happened. And then you guys started having a discussion about going into a silent place to find focus. And when I heard that, I heard the silent place gives you focus to walk through intense transitions. And of course, then that led me to birthing a child, birthing a new idea, birthing a new way, a new path in childbirth. And I'm not saying there's any way that's right and any way that's wrong. I'm just going to say what comes to me. In child labor, in a natural labor, there are stages of transition. Some people, when they want to go more Western medicine, instead of having the transitions, they'll just get the epidural. Nothing wrong with that. That's what you did. That's fine. I'm not saying one way is right and one way is wrong. As you go through natural childbirth and labor, and you choose to have no medications, if you are educated well by a good midwife, she'll tell you that you replace the word pain with intense transitions, intensity. And it begins to condition your mind in a way that you can understand. Because the word pain is very similar to how if Sean would have said unlimited rather than limitless. Un puts you in a place in your brain where you're like, oh, but limitless puts you in a place where there are no caps on you. There are no other thoughts. You're open to anything. So intensity instead of pain changes the way you look at the transition that you're going through. And there's a place in a woman's mind where you have to find and go when your body is transitioning to allow another form, another human to come out of you in places where you go, that shouldn't be coming out, and nothing like that should be coming out of there. And you have to find this place of solitude and stillness to allow what appears to be chaotic to be birthed through you and allowed to come through. And it's a place of silence that you find how you can go through intense transition that will birth through chaos a blessing that you never knew how much you would love until after it's here. And it's through moments like this, it's through moments like this in our world that you can get caught up in the intensity, and you can begin to call it pain, and you'll end up in an emergency situation. And although what needs to come through you will still come through you, it will come through in far more chaos rather than in more stillness while walking through the intense transition. And the way you say things, the way you phrase things, how you look at things, the perspective and the perspective change is key here. Because in childbirth, if you continue to say there's a transition, I'm going through transition, or the midwife tells you you're in a transition, you have a moment to where you can actually wrap your mind around, okay, I can breathe through this transition. And through this transition, there's going to be intense feelings in certain areas. And I've got to allow oxygen to come in. And it's funny that Delia said breathing and inhale and exhaling, because your muscles, there is a chemical reaction in every muscle in your body for it to contract and relax. There's a chemical flow of the proper balance that needs to happen for the fibers in the muscles to contract and to relax. And it's through oxygen that your body can alleviate the lactic acid, the buildup, the burn in the muscle that needs to come out in order for you to be able to let that muscle do its job. So through this intense transition, there is some breathing that needs to happen. So look at what Sean's been doing here. He's helping us learn new vocabulary. In order to birth, you have to change your vocabulary from pain to intensity. He's helping us find a place to arrive in birth, in childbirth. If a woman is not in a place where she can let go of what's around her, this baby ain't coming out. And any midwife or nurse, labor and delivery nurse will tell you, if the mom thinks the environment this child is fixing to be put into is chaos, it's ironic a woman will go from being dilated to an 8 and 9 back down to a 2 or a 3. Because the body will go, nope, not letting it come out. Sean's given us a place to arrive of safety, of gentleness, a place where light is and darkness has no place. So we have the vocabulary, we have the place. Now, as we breathe and we inhale and we exhale, we give our bodies a chance to walk through the transition while letting go of all the things that don't serve us, all the lactic acid that doesn't serve us. And we're able to breathe that out. And in doing so, though it's intense, and though sometimes it will crown and go back in, because that happens with every baby. They crown, the mother breathes, it goes back in, and you're like, why is it going back in? It's supposed to come out. And you'll have that moment, and as it does, and we can breathe and watch it crown, and we have someone there to hold a hand, to squeeze, to let out a scream or a holler or a ah, whatever it is. It's amazing the sounds that come out of a woman's body that she'll never make anywhere else, but they have to come out in order to get through that last transition of that baby crowning and the head coming out. It doesn't matter the weight of the baby, it matters the diameter of their head. That's all that matters in childbirth right there, man. I mean, so it's the diameter of what it is you're birthing. And it's that ability, can you breathe through this while understanding the intensity of this last stage of transition in this birth? A woman that has multiple children has to go through these transitions time and time again, and every birth is different in your life. As you birth in a new place, as you birth in new ideas, new interesting concepts, new ways of thinking that God brings to you, every time it's going to be a little different. Same pattern, different intensities, different child, different diameters. Everything has to give and expand. And as you breathe through that, it's that last push. It's that last moment where you think the world is caving in and the world is, oh my God, something's tearing me apart. That you breathe and inhale and you exhale, and you allow what God has put in you to come out of you. That sometimes is the most intense transition that you'll ever experience in your life. But as it comes out, and you let everything else come with it. It's ironic that women don't usually have to give a really hard push for the shoulders. It's usually just the head. And that's a whole nother conversation. And everything else follows with it. And then as that transition occurs, some of us will have to have help mending where some of the intensity came out. And some of us will have been able to breathe and stretch through that. And that's where you'll find people, and you'll find, are they at a place where they need a little help getting cleaned up after these transitions and after this birthing? Or is it a place where they've breathed through it, and now they just need us to enjoy what they've birthed. So that's a whole different way than maybe y'all were thinking about this. And it might be quite possibly maybe that this is what God is telling me as he births through me this whole new change. But y'all said some key points, and it's in the silence during those transitions that you find the place that helps you walk through the chaos. So it's in the silence that every time my body would transition, and I would go and my body would get even more prepared for this child to exit. It's in that area that seems so chaotic that I would have to find that place of silence. But as I did, everything I need would come rushing to me. And y'all see who showed up as we're talking about this. She's laying all over me right now. And it's in silence. I wrote down, it's in silence you can see how to become the best problem solver. And it's in the silence that you can understand the pain or the intense transition that it should become. And it's in the transition during that intensity where the change that needs to occur happens. It's not afterwards. That's just the result of the change happening. It's during that intense moment where the change has to happen. So then I asked myself a couple of questions. How do you find silence in mass hysteria and chaos? That's a really good question. How do you find the silence in mass hysteria and chaos? Can you understand and realize, can you step back and realize that when there is mass hysteria and chaos that you need to find a place of silence? And it's in that silence that you'll find the release that you need to go through the transition that is occurring. So I ask myself, where can I build more up inside of me? And can I help others find that in them to be able to walk through the intense transition? And what part of myself can I build so I can walk through that intense transition? Because these are all things women have to think about as we think about becoming pregnant and giving birth. And then where does God want my energy focused today to help to get through this transition that I'm in now? So as usual, y'all are talking about one thing and God's over here going 700 different directions in my head. But I really appreciate it because it all ties together, and it all started from those 4 words, from limited to limitless. And I thought that was very interesting because in birthing, we first take on the thought of we are limited because we think of, oh man, what we got to go through. Oh my gosh. And it's in that last moment where your body does exactly what it was designed to do, that there is a moment that you're breathing that you honestly feel limitless. And you know inside yourself, if I can do this, I can do anything. So where do we lose that? Why do we lose that? What story tells us to lose that? And how can we get it back? Where does that happen? What does it look like? And that's what we're all doing here. So that was probably more for me than anybody else. But if that helps you with any thoughts that are happening today, I hope it does. I hope that serves you well. So, there you go.
Well, here's why that's wildly important as well, is because most everybody on these calls at some point in their life doesn't believe they're entitled to the dream they're about to have. Which is why you spoke that, because you were told you weren't supposed to have the child that you have.
Yeah.
So everybody has to go through this idea of, everybody's told me I can't have it. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to walk right. I'm going to do all of this stuff. And then all of a sudden the miracle happens. And now the miracle's 8 years old.
Yeah.
Why not? Don't we all deserve it?
Yep.
So there you go. I love y'all, folks. From your head misfit in Dallas, Texas, I'm Sean Murphy, and I'll see y'all where? At the next
Elizabeth.
I'll send some love.
Love you all. Have a great, great morning.
Love you all.
Love you all, Misfits. God bless you all.
Love you all.
Have a wonderful day.
Love you guys. Have a
Bye,
good day.
y'all. Love you.
Have a beautiful day. Love you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Happy Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye. Love y'all.
Thank you, Sean, for the love. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
We didn't live in that.
Have a great day.